Welcome, Spartans, to Halo TV Plus, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. I'm your host, Oran, and on Halo TV Plus, my guests and I recap Halo's original TV show, Halo the Series, and discuss its contents and unique canon within the Silver timeline. Joining me tonight for Episode 7, Inheritance, is Aaron Campbell. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys.
Aaron, we're almost at the end. I'm so excited to have you on the show, and it's great for me every week to get someone new to talk about the show as a whole and each episode, and so I'm really excited to dive in, and I hope you're excited to finally be here after so long. I think you were one of my early guests for our kind of pre-series before the show kind of started, and man, that feels like ages ago.
It does feel like a really long time ago. This is kind of like my brief appearance on Mission Debrief. I got one episode and then I seem to disappear forevermore. No, I'm glad to be here. I've been looking forward to talk about this. Due to the weird way it comes out in the UK, I'm usually catching up with everyone, so it's been nice to be geared up and ready to go to chat for a change.
Yeah, and I mean, even myself, I watched this episode kind of late in my usual sort of cadence of preparing for the show, and so I had to really kind of avoid the internet because I didn't want anything spoiled, because last episode was a pretty big episode that some people were spoiling on social media. So luckily I was able to avoid all that, and I was able to enjoy the episode. So, but before we get started, as you know, Halo TV Plus publishes a commentary podcast episode and an analysis podcast episode to accompany the Halo the Series episode of the week. This episode is the commentary episode, where in a moment, Aaron and I will watch Inheritance and discuss the events as they unfold on screen. We encourage you, the listener, to watch along with us and cue the episode while listening. If you haven't watched the episode yet, I recommend that you go and watch it before listening, because we are going to spoil scenes while they happen and even before they happen entirely. But if you're sticking around, go ahead and take a moment to queue up the episode while I run through some general housekeeping. If you're new to the show in general, welcome. Halo TV Plus is part of Evolved, that hosts a variety of other Halo shows like Podcast Evolved, Mission Debrief, Builds with Blocks, Halo Book Club, and Halo Headlines. Evolved also partners with the podcast HCS Pro Talk. Josh and Will discuss the latest information within the competitive Halo scene with an emphasis on community every week. You can learn more about each show on our website, evolvedhalo.com. And as Halo TV Plus is a new show, I ask that you rate it and leave it a review. I greatly appreciate all the feedback and suggestions I get from the listeners, so I can improve the quality of this show for future seasons. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our patrons for their continued support. Your contributions allow us at Evolve to continue making new content every single week. So thank you guys so much. You guys are rock stars. If you're not subscribed, our patrons receive a variety of exclusive rewards, such as early episodes, unique swag, access to our podcast soundtrack, and more. And you can head over to patreon.com/HaloEvolved to learn more. Now, this episode 7, Inheritance. Quan's journey to uncover her family's true purpose takes her deep into the deserts of Madrigal, and Soren obsesses over unfinished business. It was directed by Jessica Lowry, has a runtime of 50 minutes and 44 seconds, and its original air date was May 5th, 2022. All right, Aaron, are you ready to kind of just dive right into the episode?
I am ready to go.
All right. Well, listeners, I will count us down and say play when it's time for you to press your play button. Aaron, we will count down now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
Oh, I managed to succeed.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh my gosh, I was worried for a moment
The
there.
pressure, listening to all these commentaries, the pressure's been getting to me.
Everyone's been saying that episode to episode. The countdown is the hardest part of the episode.
It is.
Well, Aaron, while we're getting through the last week on Halo and we're kind of getting some backstory on Quan, what do you think of Quan's story so far as a whole through the other 5 or 6 episodes?
I'm a little torn on it. I kind of see what they're going for. They want the insight into civilian life in the Halo universe, and I feel like they're trying to go for the Game of Stone or Game of Thrones, like Arya the Hound or Brienne and Jaime, sort of, the civilian and the warrior traveling on their journey together, but I don't feel like they're always hitting it. And I don't think that's like a fault of the two actors. Like, they're very good, but I think their story doesn't give them a lot to work with.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think this episode was very much needed. And I'm glad it took a whole episode for them to tell the story that they're telling, because I think Quan and Soren just haven't had the screen time to develop what you need to develop, because we've been just so focused on the Master Chief, because that's the primary story. This is, what you would call like a B plot. But yeah, we'll kind of get into how we feel after this episode as we kind of talk through it, and maybe touch on it on the analysis episode. But from the get-go, I do enjoy how we start with Quan. It's a flashback, and the rest of the episode is just really on her and Soren, and it focuses on them as we learn kind of what their motivations and goals are, and kind of further their story to kind of give us a reason to care about it, or at least a little bit more if it didn't fully succeed.
I enjoy seeing this. Like, this little scene here, you got this dinner table going on. You see the tension between Quan and I didn't catch the new guy's name that they introduced here, and she's all very much like, you get to go home back to your old life again, and your heart's not really in the fight, or you're not dedicated to it. Like, there's a little bit of there is that animosity in the core universe between all the insurrectionists, because while they all might have the same goal of getting rid of the UNSC, they're not all doing it for the same reasons.
Right.
And I like that they hint on that here.
Yeah, Quan's definitely like, her animosity and kind of her goals with it all go much deeper than just, oh, I don't want to be like oppressed, so then I can go back to doing my job. And like, I almost got a sense that like Quan doesn't see her ever going back to whatever old life she may have had, and that all that's just always going to be lost. And it's all, I think it just fuels her kind of hatred and revenge that we kind of see throughout the episode, that she doesn't see a life after liberation.
Yeah, I think this like ties back to we've learned before about the death of her mother at the hands of Master Chief. Like, this is angsty, troubled Quan dealing with the effects of this, and she feels like, you get that sort of sense that she feels like her world is irreparably changed, and this is a fight for revenge for her at this stage more than ideology.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Poor Quan.
You do get that motivation. You feel why she's so, like, the force that drives her to sort of get back to the planet and get back to her people for the rest of the episodes. Like, you see some of the reasoning for it here.
I do, and I think I'll get in this in the analysis episode on some of. I think they could have tweaked a little bit of her motivation for us to kind of root for her a little bit more during those earlier episodes before this. But like I said, I like how what we see in this episode. It really does give us a little bit better of an understanding of like, okay, her story does mean something and it is going somewhere. It just really took too much time to get to that point.
Yeah, also liking this sort of slight little Mad Max moment here. In the desert in her buggy into the giant sand cloud.
Would have been interesting if she had goggles she could just like slip on right at this moment.
Yeah, I was like, you're driving in a sand cloud with no windscreen. How are you not squinting? Or completely blind? And then we see the silhouettes in the dust,
which is pretty good. It's thankful she didn't like drive off a cliff or something.
That's what I was expecting to happen, honestly, was she was going to charge through here and hit a boulder and roll or something, and then someone nabs her, and you're like, oh. So I wasn't expecting that part. And then we get intro time. I like this intro. This is a nice intro.
Yeah, it is nice. It's pleasant.
Part of me kind of wishes we got to the stage in the Halo universe where we could have self-assembly armor like that, where it just like shimmies over his body.
Nanobots, man. That's what this is.
No, okay, I take it back.
You take it back?
I take it back. No nanobots.
You heard it here, guys. Aaron approves of nanotechnology.
Oh, damn it. I sunk myself. It is a very nice suit of armor, I have to say.
Yeah.
All those close-up angles, it looks good. This bit here at the very end reminds me of that advert they did for Halo Infinite where Master Chief's a DJing Space Cat. Just that bit at the end with the lights always reminds me of that advert.
I don't think I remember that one.
It's quite funny. I like seeing the rubble. I have theories. I'll talk about them in the analysis episode. I do like Soren.
And yeah, Soren's great. I like this scene too because it's like it kind of cuts from, you know, like group of friends that he's with to another group of friends, and he just keeps telling these like wild stories, and it's like I don't know if he's, you know, really truthful in all of it and he's just exaggerating some of it, but it almost doesn't matter just because he's so charismatic and he has like such a presence that I don't know, it just makes him really likable in my opinion.
Yeah, and being a Spartan too, the thing is I think I believe it all. Like, it doesn't matter how ridiculous the story gets, I totally buy it. He comes across as a real people person, like, in a way that the rest of them don't.
Yeah.
And this guy, Squirrel, like, you immediately have just a strong sense of distrust. He's a great actor. Just within the first 15 seconds you see him, you go like, uh-oh, this guy's gonna do something stupid.
He also just kind of looks like one of those, you know, squirrely, almost kind of maniacal characters too. Just kind of like a little off in the background. So he's kind of like squirms a little bit.
Yeah, if things hit the fan, he seems like the guy that turns to like stabbing first. He has that look about him. Oh, here we go. I'm intrigued by future fashion sense.
It gave me very like Hunger Game vibes, if you remember those movies.
It is, yes.
You know, just kind of the over the top, goofy, but like there definitely is a sense of high fashion in the in this future. And like, and these are like the people who are living on the rubble. Like this isn't like a thriving metropolitan sort of like community or planet. Like this is what the scoundrels are wearing.
Part of me wonders, are they more flamboyant because they are the criminal element? You know, they're like living their extreme version of a posh life. The way sort of you get that in pirate movies and things. You know, we are doing everything over the top because we are the criminal underdogs.
I kind of get the sense that like if they're stealing all of like whatever, you know, scourging and pirateering everything they're getting, like they're just taking clothes and stuff from other planets. So like this is what the high fashion of say like Reach or Harvest or some of these other planets are, and now it's their fashion just because they've stolen it from them.
I like this moment where Squirrel realizes he has fucked up. Just that look in his eyes as Soren comes in on top of him.
We'll see it in a moment, but the lift scene, like the subway scene as well, was another great moment between the two of them.
Yeah, I will admit there was a second ago where a shadow passes behind Soren, and I was absolutely prepared for it to be the Covenant. I live in constant fear now that at any moment the Covenant appear and attack.
Yeah.
And we're back to the desert then with the desert peoples.
The Mystics is, I think they're called. I don't know. I really like their wardrobes and their wigs.
Yeah, am I right in assuming that I only see women through all of this?
I believe so. I believe you're right. I think we get multiple racial females.
It's giving me sort of Stargate vibes. Desert peoples, we're here to talk to you. The modern stranger out of time.
Yeah, do you know if there's any type of core canon equivalent to these characters in this tribe?
Not that I'm aware of. I kind of feel like everyone on every planet, for the most part, are settlers up to a couple of 100 years. But at that stage, like, we're only a few 100 years of settling inner colonies. Like, some of the outer colonies there have only been settled for decades.
Yeah.
This sort of like desert dwelling mystical feels like an ancient people's, even though they're probably not. I don't think there's anything quite like this.
Yeah.
I don't hate this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued.
It makes me wonder how long Madrigal's been a colony. Oh, we get a future car instead of a modern day SUV. You know that those ridges on the bonnet mean it's from the future.
And the sleek design.
Yeah, these big collared jackets are definitely a look. I'm not sure how comfortable these giant black heavy jackets are in the desert planet.
I was noticing that too later down the line. Like I think Venture wears something else, and yeah, he's just standing there in the desert in this huge collar, giant heavy jacket.
Yeah, him and the goon squad, and you're just looking, going like, interesting. There is a point later on where he dons a pair of sunglasses, and I have thoughts on those. He looks like he wandered in off the Sonic the Hedgehog movie at one stage.
Oh yeah.
I'll point that out when we get there. Yeah, I haven't been able to look at him the same since we saw him naked in the bath scene.
Yeah, I don't really know why we needed to see that. I guess we need to get our butt quota up. Although it's been a couple episodes and we haven't seen some butts, so we are due for a butt soon.
And we still haven't had a sex scene yet. Like, it's not a Game of Thrones episode until there's sex and breasts. Oh, he's so smarmy.
So swarmy. He knows all the guys.
Yeah, this gives me very Expanse feelings. I like that the whole, like, the rubble public space, it's all very Expanse belter cobbled together feel.
Yeah, and like the long corridor of just like stuff.
Yeah, Sauron's hand. I do like that you can see more of it now, that it is actually deformed. Because up until this stage, you haven't really got that sense.
I mean, you've seen his kind of like claw-like hand a few times here and there.
We get a very good look at him later on.
Yeah, which I thought was really cool. A really good special effects makeup.
Yeah. I really did think he was about to plaster this guy across the wall here.
Or just something like that. But yeah, this was a great scene to kind of just like, oh, you know what, the Soren's just manipulating him right now, and he does it like well enough to where when I was watching this for the first time, I really didn't know what to trust. I was like, is Soren like really being genuine? Because like I can tell he has some sort of ulterior motive, rattling in his head. But I'm not sure, whether it's in the benefit of both of them or just in the benefit of himself.
I am curious about this. The setup here with this job is to rob military grade slipspace drives. I wonder, are we setting up for the collapse of the rubble, either in this series or the next series? Because that is a thing in the novel.
Yeah, and the core canon and what was it, Cole Protocol?
Yes, they equipped the asteroid with slipspace drives to escape the Covenant. So I wonder if we might see that. I like this little special effect aerial down shot.
Yeah, it's called a match cut, where the light of the tram kind of goes into the dark passageways, and then we see the light and it transitions to the fire because it's kind of matching an object or a point. And then yeah, we kind of just flow right into the scene of this like ceremony that we're watching.
They do a good job here with atmosphere. I like the flaming stones and the way she scoops up the fire here.
Yeah, a lot of trickery, and it just kind of makes me intrigued that like what powers or mystics do these individuals possess to like give them some of these abilities, and then like what do they do when Kwan's not here, like when they're just feeding off the desert?
I am curious to see, like, they have this, they have this ancient warrior vibe, ancient knowledge, and then we go on the Vision Quest, which as TV tropes of drinking a thing to go on a Vision Quest go, this one's not the worst. Sort of gives me Black Panther Vision Quest vibes.
For a moment, I was thinking that like they were gonna go down this path to where she like somehow like interstellar time traveled to like impact the past to change the future or something, and I was like,
I was
oh my
thinking
gosh,
the same thing
what if
for
they
a minute.
do
Was
that?
it time travel, and then we get weird, like we get this silent, cool chief. And then I thought, oh, is he going to open the back of the ship and venture out into space? But no, I'm just always convinced someone's about to try and kill them. I'm very distrusting of this whole setup.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very like ominous and mysterious. Like we don't know what's going on.
Out the back of the Pelican there, that gave me Nightfall vibes. If the wave of hunter worms had have slithered across the surface there, I would have been like, okay, we're on that chunk of the halo now.
Right.
I like as the camera pans back and forth and they cut from area to area and it's all like nice and seamless. It just gives you this real like dream sort of quality to it. And then we get this guy back again.
Reth, I think his name is.
Yeah, he does the crazy quite well. I do have one complaint with Kwan here in her next bit, is that she did not think this through at all. Because as we're about to see, she focuses on the wrong body parts.
Mm. I mean, I find it interesting that like each time she like resets, they give her a different weapon, and it's like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they give her the same weapon over and over, but she always goes for the same move, which is attack him in the chest plate. But I do like that she just clubs him and he doesn't move. It's just this, like, he doesn't even react. He just stands there and takes it until he clubs her.
No, what I think is great is that like because she like quote unquote dies and is like reborn, it's just all implied that like his one punch is enough to just end end a human.
Like, just gone. I do like this Groundhog Day sort of take out the Master Chief thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I like my odds of trying to stab Master Chief. I would not try to stab him in the chest plate.
But yeah, I thought like, oh, what if you went for between the armor? Quan, come on.
You've got to stab him in the abs. I was prepared for like a grotesque moment there where he like tore her arms off or something. When he grabs her by the wrists and picks her up, I was going to be like, is he going to crush her arms or do something horrific? The gun. Same again.
Yep, right in the chest plate.
Oh, that's a horrible meaty punch too. Like, you can hear it. Back up to hit him with a rock.
If a knife didn't work, why would a rock will? You know? But you know what they're trying to do here? They're trying to just get her rage out and let her know that she's...
This is the Morpheus moment of, you think that's air you're breathing? It's like, you think this is rage is helping you any? It's such a good looking suit of armor. Like, just every angle there that they show him at, it's so good.
And I even like this because, you know, you're talking about cuts and stuff. Like, we look down from her in this low angle and we see him without his helmet off. And it's just like, I'm just human and I'm here to help. Like, there's something else we need to go do.
And then in the next scene we see him, he's lost all the armor plating on his armor. He's
in the undersuit.
He's less intimidating. I'm so intrigued about this scene.
Yes, I have lots to say about this scene. And it's almost like you blink and you miss it type of a thing.
This is our first sign of anything Forerunner apart from the two artifacts. Like,
well, I mean, I would say this is almost even more Forerunner because, you know, the monitors they're sentient to a degree. Whereas the Forerunner objects are just kind of living architecture.
I like this transition here as this guy approaches. I'm curious, I never actually checked before, but I want to see if we can count how many generations there are here. Because he slowly transitions 1, 2, 3.
And I think we get the...
4.
What is that, 4?
5. I think we get about 6 or 7 generations till we get to her dad. 6. 7.
Probably 7.
At least 7 generations they've been on this planet. Because this is all supposed to be her family line.
Yeah, protecting all of this. So that's probably definitely before the UNSC ever colonized, do you think? Or do you think the UNSC could have colonized it 7 generations ago, if not earlier?
I would have to go back to the core canon. Because they fudged the dates a bit in this, it's hard to tell, but 7 generations would be...
about 500 years?
Yeah, that's what's got me.
4 to 500?
Unless they're all very fast
because you can kind of do 3. You can have 3 generations in 100 years.
Like 500 years seems a bit too much, but
yeah. So yeah, I guess so.
No, I have many thoughts for the analysis about what this portal might be.
Me too. This well. I do like how it's kind of that they kind of just invent this though, because, you know, portals are not uncommon on different planets and constructs and stuff. So I think it's a clever, like, not trope. It's like a plot device that is kind of inserted in.
It's the new MacGuffin. I believe that is the technical term. We have gone from the artifact to the portal.
Yeah. Because it'll be interesting to see what they do with the artifacts, since the Covenant have one and the UNSC have one too. But I just think that like they should have like teased this earlier in the show. Because like now it's like, okay, there's a portal that Quan has to protect now. And so now she has purpose, but we're 6.5 episodes in, you know?
Yeah, like I imagine that this is what eventually the artifacts are going to lead Chief to. I like this. So I think, is this the first time we've ever seen sort of UNSC freighters?
I think so. I was kind of hoping more of like a operation, you know, that they just kind of cut to it already being successful, and they take the slip slice drive.
There seems to be quite a few of them, which is what makes me think we might be setting up, like all these appear to be as well.
Yeah, each crate seems to be one.
Oh, that makes my feet hurt. And you suddenly realize that Soren is not someone to be fucked with. Everyone immediately realizes what's up and they're not having any part of it.
Poor guy.
I think the feeling
great. He's
I
like,
didn't
so you
get
can
it.
feel, you could feel my shoes, and he's like crushing his foot, and then like later on when he's talking to his wife, and he's like, he could have broken his foot or whatever, and he says, well, now he'll think before he walks. It's like, oh my gosh.
I appreciate
writing,
this scene a lot for getting like a good look now at Soren and his body.
Yeah, because you can see the augmentation scars, and then you could see his arm and just how it flows into his bicep and shoulder.
Yeah, like we did get a look at him in the flashback scene in the earlier episodes when he's a teenager, but it's in the dark. You don't really see it as clearly, but here, like, you can totally see just how mangled his arm actually is.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Soren. I really like. I feel like what he does in the end of this episode and kind of the climax is like what I wanted out of Soren, like earlier on in the show.
Yeah, like if this whole setup had been earlier and then we didn't hear from them for another few episodes, like I think this would have done a lot to alleviate some of the dissatisfaction people have had about it. I do think it's been stretched out a little bit. Then we're back on Madrigal again. We have this woman. Here's the guys in the black ski jackets. Definitely look like a very hot jacket.
Yeah. And she's one of his generals? Is that what?
She is the general, but she is the traitor. This is what Quan worked out in the previous episode, if I'm remembering correctly, is that she sold everyone out. So she was like his spy on the inside, and now she's about to get comeuppance. And then we're back to where it all began.
Which I like, and I almost we don't really get a sense of it. But do you think the well is here on the compound?
I do wonder if it's underneath the extractor. I was thinking the same thing.
Because it's like, oh, the extractor is extracting this material. I wonder if it's like straight up extracting it from the well. And I kind of was hoping that would be like the ending of the episode, and when they look down the well, Very Lost-like, if you're a fan of Lost.
Yeah, no, I wonder that too, but I think it's this well is going to be metaphorical. It'll not be well like that, but I do wonder. I'll save it for later. We'll not talk about it now. I'll get carried away. I don't know. He seems like a good villain here, but he's like almost chewing on the scenery a little bit.
I like him as like a presence, but I just don't really buy that he's just like the puppeteer, if you know what I mean. Like I like this interview, for example, but like when he's just like when all of his goons just like appear out of nowhere and he's like talking about this change and all this kind of stuff, like I feel like he's a good like lieutenant that's working for someone else, which I guess he kind of is because he's working for the UNSC, but he's supposed to be this force, and I guess it's just not, I don't know, over, like it's not as conveyed as I guess it could be, I think.
Yeah, no, I think like if you were to write a stereotypical villain, he's hitting the nail so on the head here.
Yeah.
It might be slight overkill for it. Even down to shooting her in the back.
He does that a lot, actually. Well, he was like straight up executing people in episode 2.
Yes, he was, yeah.
Also, remember this shot of the single van driving towards the outpost. That would have been a perfect shot to maybe include other vans behind him, if you know what I mean.
I'm guessing they only had the budget for one space van.
They sure did have enough budget for more space goons.
Yeah, why is no one on this planet flying anywhere? That's the thing I don't get.
Maybe they don't have the resources for a spaceship.
Yeah, maybe I'm just thinking of doing a little too much.
Now, this is like a good moment because like I think she's looking through the wreckage because she really didn't have time to after the Spartans and the Covenant showed up. And she's looking around and she sees the kind of drawings and stuff. And like I just kind of wish that there was a moment where we could have actually had this. Like maybe her dad like hands her a single piece of paper and she just doesn't know what it means. And like when he dies, and it could have been this. And her having that earlier in episode 1, I just think gives her whole storyline just more purpose as we're watching it unfold episode to episode. So then when she comes back here, she already has like a clue and she's just looking for the next clue.
Yeah, I do think they've held back a little too much of her until now, so it's just dragged out and been, two characters on the road over and over and over. The payoff could have maybe come a bit sooner. I feel like this could have happened before the last 2 chief-centric episodes with no real issue to the flow of the story. See, Soren's a good guy after all.
Yeah, I like how he just shows up.
He's here, he knows the crack. You're not going to survive on your own, we've got to work together.
Do you think he used some of the slip space drives to get there so quickly? Or do you think he just had another ship that he was going to?
Well, he has his other ship, but he did make, when you, like the pre-show interviews with the crew, he talked about his ship being like badass, so I wonder if it is like well kitted out, because so far the only time we saw his ship was when it was being stripped in the desert.
Which I guess he just rebuilt. I don't know. That's not really explained. I guess it doesn't really matter.
I thought he said he had access to another tug. I think when he goes with Squirrel, he says he has access to another tug. See this scene here. He looks like he belongs in the Hall of Villains next to Dr. Robotnik. Just look at him with these glasses up on the wall here.
Oh, look, there's a second truck, and there's like 50 goons. Like, where did all these goons come from?
They were all sitting in the boot. Just like tucked up beside each other.
What are these, clown cars?
They open the door and 75 roll out. And I love all the big boxes with the like oversized assault rifles too. But it is a good Halo plan in that we blow up the reactor or the refinery and we go and hide behind that door.
It's a classic Halo mission.
Blow it up and we'll take cover.
The plan isn't working. I'm just going to blow it up.
Yeah. Look at him. Just like... He just, I don't know, he's hamming it up a little too much here.
I loved your father like a brother. Get off yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do like this whole scene. Like, I think like as a conflict, the opposition I think is good. And I think the setup is pretty well set up for a payoff. It just took us so long to really get here.
Yeah, it's just dragged out too much. It should have, if they'd have condensed their storyline down a little bit, I think it would have done all right. And let the Hunger Games begin.
Mm-hmm.
I do like this whole next bit because it's nice to see Soren get his Spartan on.
I agree. And like I said, this is something that I wanted to see from, since like episode 2. Seeing Soren in action of like what he's able to do physically. Because, he's a pirate, so he does get into some mischief and trouble, and you can't always talk yourself out of situations. Plus, he's like an ex-failed / Spartan. He has some things going for him.
I quite like this little interaction between the two of them. As characters go, I think this does a lot. Like, just that whole little bit there sells me on the two of them completely. And then the bullets start flying. It's a very different fight to the one we get here in the first episode.
Yeah. It's almost like Batman-esque, because you kind of have one guy in the shadows, and I think someone even says, like, he's everywhere. Because no one's able to really, like, get a hold of him.
I wonder is that why they didn't do it at night, because it would feel a little too much like, the Cape Crusader. But he is quite vicious as he goes through here.
I was also thinking that, like, while she was, like, in the underground tunnels, like, she would discover the well, and it was, like, maybe a turn she's never taken before, and then, like, the monitor would come out and we would get something, but we didn't get any of that. So I was disappointed that I wasn't right, really. Not that I think it really should have happened, but it would have been interesting.
I love that he lands headshots almost every time. The thing that got me with this is that I don't know, I expected them to have something slightly more futuristic than spread out and search the area.
What do you mean? Like, you feel like they should have...
I was expecting drones and a bit of stealth and a few more things. I don't know. It just seems like there should be something more going on, but Soren is quite brutal here when he sort of takes everyone out.
Yeah. I mean, that knife throw to kind of kick off the fight was pretty cool.
And then more tunnels. Also, for the distance that she covers, she's in these tunnels for a very long time. Like, she went from the control room to the middle tower, which looks like, what, maybe 100 yards? But she's in the tunnels for about 2/3 of this fight. But yeah, I totally think if this had happened at dark, it would have been a little too much violent Batman.
But it's good. I like it. It's just like he's so brutal and
Yeah, and he takes a couple of hits and it doesn't really stop him. I didn't expect this guy to actually like land a few shots and stagger him. You always think Spartan 2, a human can't do anything to them, and then you have to remind yourself he's like a Spartan 2 without armor.
yeah, and I think he's, the augmentation didn't fully, succeed on him, so he's not 100% like Chief and the rest of them who passed the augmentation. His body rejected it a little bit, and that's why his arms deformed. So you can argue that his punches aren't as strong, his skin isn't as thick, and things of that nature. But he's still a wicked sharpshooter.
They do a good job of showing just how effective he is here, and you can understand how he survived in the rubble as a pirate all this time.
Yeah.
And now we have the moment where he figures out that something might be up. This next bit now, I've seen a few people complain online about this, but I haven't had the chance to go back and check for myself yet.
Which part? I don't think I've seen.
Kwan's going to save the day here in a moment with a rifle. Just watch, and I'll point it out in a minute.
What is this rifle supposed to be empty?
The discussion online is that the rifle wasn't dumped there in this last scene that you see it in, and also the Chief was out of bullets at the time he had it. But I need to go back and rewatch that first fight again to see for sure.
I mean, that's what I kind of thought as well.
We don't actually see her chamber the rifle, so I was like, oh, maybe she found bullets somewhere. But I do like this. She uses the plasma grenade.
When I saw that, I was like, oh yeah. Like I knew exactly what was about to happen. And it's pretty great.
Although their plasma grenades are much more solid than I expected them to be. It looks more like just a grenade with neon in it. Although I am surprised that the UNSC did not comb the wreckage of the fight area. Like, you see them dissecting bodies and all after the fight when Chief and all's back on the planet. I'm surprised they left things like plasma grenades behind.
Now, I am actually quite upset that Venture landed, like, the shot. It's like, your goons are doing all this work, and then, oh, the one time you happen to fire is when you get Soren in the neck. Like, really? Like, you should just have a goon do it, because you're not a goon. You're a freaking dweeb.
I said, here we go, we get the rifle. Now, the only thing I can say is that you don't see her load the rifle, so it's possible she found ammo somewhere else.
I think they should have they should have looked at the thing and it should have just said 1 on the counter. Like, the heads up display, like the little screen shows the ammo count in CE. And I feel like you could have just had a shot of her show the 1. But yeah, whenever you have these kind of like return to like past locations type of a thing, like it's hard to remember the continuity unless it's just planned from the get-go, and it could have been a thing to where they shot the sequence and then wrote this, and it's like, well, crap, like, it is what it is.
Yep, we get the explosion, Venture gets vaporized.
Yeah, Venture's gone. And I like how it even like comes through that small little grate there. Like it even the blast door wasn't 100% safe.
Yeah, I never noticed before, but was that a tether to space for the fuel? Because it seemed to go a considerable distance up.
I think it's supposed to be a space tether so they can get the materials off planet to some sort of compository.
Right. Well, that maybe makes sense then. They do a good aftermath shot here. Everything's all mangled. I was the same as you. I expected her to look down and find the whale. But it seems like they're very much not going to have it here.
Yeah, for whatever reason. I mean, we kind of get the sense that whatever the next episode, I guess, is her finding her purpose. So maybe she has to go find the well, and she needs a little bit more of a journey for it.
I don't think we're going to see her till the last episode again.
You think we're not going to get her in the next episode?
Well, we may get a little bit, but I think this is going to set her up to, we'll not see her again until the end when Chief hooks up with her. I think the next episode will be Chief and solving the mysteries of the artifact to bring him here.
Interesting. So she keeps the assault rifle. So I guess there are bullets in there, or maybe she think that she'll get more bullets or something in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, and then I assume this is just another ship that Sauron got. I don't know if it's even his ship. But I like him as a character. I like the two of them. And he's got his payday, which is nice. I got to be honest, I heard that beep when he fired the ship up, and if it had have exploded right now, I would have been like, oh shit.
Oh, damn.
I must say, the special effects are pretty alright.
I think they're pretty good. I'm like,
That shot looks, there especially looks good, yeah. And then she has that look of I mean business in her eyes.
yep, I know what I must do. My purpose has been foretold.
That's another episode.
Man, oh man, we only have 2 left, my dude.
Oh, I don't know what to think now. I had all these plans, and as we get closer to the end, I'm like, I just don't know. I think the internet were a little harsh on that episode.
Who's being harsh? The internet?
Yeah, the Halo community online, I was prepared going into this episode for this to be the most awful, flaming turd of a mess, and just like, I had very low expectations, but I finished this episode and I thought that was all right. Like, it could have done with happening sooner. I won't disagree there. I do think that their storyline has dragged out a bit.
The Quan hasn't been like a fan favorite, and people want to see more of like Chief and stuff. And like episodes 5 and 6 were like really good, and there were like 4 scenes with Quan in one of them, and she wasn't even in the other one. So I think there's some sort of like preconceived notions there that the internet is just being stubborn about and not looking past. I would say it's a, I don't know, pretty generic episode. It didn't really do a lot for me, but it did do something for me, which is to kind of care about Quan which I think I've said in a past episode, where like there's just really nothing going for her storyline and her motivations for me to like really care, because all it is like we need to kickstart the insurrection, we need to fight back and all this kind of stuff. But like if you had her like, I need to find this well, and she's like going around to like all these other people like, what's up with this well, what was my father really protecting if he was lying to me the whole time? Like if that was like her angle from episode 3, then I feel like that would have at least made me a little bit more intrigued to just see what was going on. And then you have this other sort of venture thing happening in the background, and then this episode we finally get some answers. Like I feel like that would have been a relatively easy fix.
I think the thing I would have done with it would have been that, I know it's a little cliched, but the like deathbed scene with her father at the start of the first battle, he should have told her that the insurrection wasn't the most important thing, you know, and there's something bigger on the planet. Like that would have made all the difference. You give her a bit of drive and a bit of direction.
Yeah, I mean, he could have handed her, he could have pulled something out of his pocket and given it to her, and it could have been literally anything. He didn't have to say anything, or he doesn't have to give her something. He could just be like, protect the well. And then she's like, what does this mean? You know? And it's like, and that could keep her up at, you know?
It maybe runs the potential to complicate the story with then going to the NSC side of things, but I think they needed something, because it's dragged this storyline out a bit. Like if this all had have been wrapped up by episode 3, and then in 4 and 5 and 6 we didn't really see Quan again until the final encounter, which I think might realistically be what'll happen, because I think if this episode was all Soren and Quan, I think the next episode will all be Chief and Makee, and then the final episode will bring everyone together. So we could have easily had the last 2 Chief episodes, the Chief and Makee episode, and then the big finale. You know, we could have had the Quan storyline wrapped up 3 episodes ago, ready for the end.
Well, I think, you know, episode 4 was called Homecoming, and it was like all about Quan going to Magical City, but that's not like her home. Her home is this place that we were just at, this outpost. And so, like, I think it would have been better is if we had like half of this episode with episode 4, where Chief goes to Eridanos, and so then we get the conclusions of these 2 things, to where she kills Fincher and all this kind of stuff, and Chief finds the artifact. And then now we have 2 episodes of Chief, to where now episode 7 is like, all right, well, what happens after this moment? And I feel like you could have cut out a lot of the fluff of like Magical City and that kind of stuff.
I feel it's a very stretched B plot. That's
that's exactly what it is.
There's not enough meat to justify the number of appearances in episodes that it's had,
and minutes of screen time, because that's what you have. You have minutes of screen time. So
I like where it's gone. I like the setup.
Episode 5 is the shortest episode. It's only like 38 minutes or something. So like you could have, even though episode 5 had that huge battle scene, but like you had so little Quan and Soren that it made it like irrelevant to even have in there. So I was like, for that episode, I was like, you should have just pumped more Quan and Soren in that episode to make us just care. And then you cut back to the awesomeness of the fight.
If that episode had have included Soren's part in the rubble up until he went to go back to get Quan, like that would have padded it out and made it feel like something was happening. It does feel like this is not the story plot that the heart of the writers was really into. Like they need to get to a point with it, but I don't feel like there was really as much enthusiasm about this as the other half and the Chief A plot. Or even like some of the Halsey C plot stuff about the kidnappings and the rest of it. This one just feels a little more neglected. If I was gonna put a number on it, I'd say like a 6 out of 10. The stuff we do get in it, the the Sauron stuff, the fight, like I like that stuff. Seeing the monitor, the mystery of what the portal is, I like those things. And I do like the chance that these two actors got to play together in a way that I think makes them feel better as a duo. Like I wasn't overly feeling it up until now, but there's just a couple interactions throughout that episode that really make me enjoy the two of them together in a way that I wasn't feeling before now.
Yeah. I would agree. I would land around a 5 or a 6 out of 10. Just because it does some things that intrigue me, even though it's not amazing.
But I don't think it was the absolute worst episode of TV ever made.
There's definitely worse television out there. 100%. Well, I think we should wrap it up here, and we can continue this conversation on our analysis episode that will release later on. If you're interested, Paramount Plus produces a Halo after show segment called Halo Declassified. It releases with each TV episode every week on Paramount Plus. This week for Inheritance, Sidney Goodman interviews Yurin Han, who portrays Quan Ha. Yurin Ha talks about playing the original character from the Halo universe, and talks a little bit about Quan's journey so far during the whole season. And then Declassified also highlights the vehicles of Halo the series, as well as some Easter eggs that you may have missed in past episodes. The Easter egg bit is actually kind of a joke, because like one of the Easter eggs literally is like, it's a banshee, and it's like, okay, that's not an Easter egg. Like, it's just a banshee in the episode. That's part of the thing. An Easter egg is the key code that Soren used to enter the place where Reth is, where the key code was 343. That's an Easter egg. Anyway, that segment just makes me mad, because a lot of like YouTube videos are kind of just like that. 76 Easter eggs in the latest superhero trailer, and it's like, no, that's probably like 30 Easter eggs and then 40 just plot devices.
If you're counting Master Chief's assault rifle as an Easter egg, you're going, no sir, that was part of the plot. That cannot count. That is literally a prop. You can't have that as an Easter egg. It's supposed to be there.
Yeah. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem at all. I've been glad to be here.
Listeners, thank you for joining us on Halo TV Plus. Halo the series premieres exclusively on Paramount Plus every Thursday morning at midnight Pacific Standard Time. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, you can find every episode to all of our shows at Evolved on our website, evolvedhalo.com. It also features links to our Discord community server, our Patreon page, Xbox Live Club, and other contact information. Once again, another special shout out to all of our patrons for your support and making Evolved possible. Head over to patreon.com/HaloEvolved to learn more. And finally, if you'd like to leave us an email or a voicemail about this week's episode of Halo the Series, please email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com, or you can give us a call at 205-EVOLVED, which is 205-386-5833. And with that, I've been your host, Oran, and until next time, evolve!
Evolved.